All right, we're live. What is up, people of human of Earth? PFF Best Ball Draft. We're back. It's another Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Andrew Erickson, your host. I'm at Andrew Erickson _ on Twitter. And we're joined, as always, by another PFFer, Nate Yankee, who's going to help me draft another Dallas Cowboys stack. But this time, there is no Jared. There is no Ian. We have a special guest on, Josh Larkey from Roto Underworld Player Profiler, Director of Analytics. Hopefully I hit on everything right there. Josh, welcome to the PFF live stream.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to do a little puppy drafting.
Yes.
Let's see how this goes. Now I know that the Cowboy stack is who I need to snipe you guys on. So this is all really good intel for this draft.
Yes, exactly. It's becoming a punchline joke because every time Nate and I draft together, it's, oh, I get CeeDee Lamb. Oh, I get Amari Cooper. I get Dak Prescott. I get Z. Like, it just like all falls into place every single time. I got a couple of streams ago, I got a almost perfect Bengals Dallas stack, with those two teams. And I was like, honestly, I should just stop drafting right now because I don't think I'm ever going to get a better team than I had from that specific draft. So, but we're filling up this draft right now. And the big talk right now about fantasy football before we get into the puppy draft here on Underdog Fantasy. Again, remember, use promo code PFF. Get a free PFF subscription. $10 is your deposit on Underdog. It's a win-win. Get those reps in and start drafting this season on Underdog Fantasy. But Scott Fishbowl, hashtag SFB11, has been the talk of the town among fantasy analysts, casual gamers, all of this great stuff. Josh, we'll start with you. How has your team started out? How has your draft room been? Any really weird surprises? Just your thoughts on the event itself.
So this is my first year doing it. It's been a ton of fun. I've been working in the fantasy football industry for several years before this year, but it was always super close curtain behind the scenes. Nobody except for Matt Kelly knew who I was. So it's cool to be in it this year. Unfortunately, the Rihanna division it's very sharp. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, and I love Rihanna and kind of thought, Rihanna, maybe it's gonna. I was like, oh, will this attract more casual fans? Clearly, any stereotypes I potentially had for people that like Rihanna, like myself, were incorrect. It's been a really good draft. So right now we just finished the 9th round. So.
Yeah, that's about where I am right now. I drafted my last pick at the 10:03. I took Mike Williams, and then I immediately got a mention on my Twitter feed from someone going right after me. He's like, "Oh my God, Andrew Erickson just sniped me." I was like, "Hey man, sorry, dude. Mike Williams, he's posting up an X, dude. Like I'm all about Mike Williams." But yeah, same here. It's been a ton of fun. I'm in the Blink 182 division, so punk rock. Here we go. What's My Age Again? All those great jams. Absolutely love it. But I guess I made a splash with my first pick. I went at the 103. I took Darren Waller. I really liked the tight end settings. And look, I think it's really close between Kelsey and Waller this year. I think that Waller's got a shot. Again, Carr absolutely loves targeting him like nonstop. And that's what I saw when I watched Waller. So yeah, I was just like, I'm going to have some fun and go with Waller here. Nate, what has happened in your draft? Quickly, before we get into best ball.
105, I got Travis Kelce right away, and Waller went directly after my pick. But for the most part, I've been happy with how my draft has gone. I've gotten pretty diverse in terms of positions. Typically, the guy that I want to fall to me has fallen to me, so happy with that. So excited for the first half of my draft, and hopefully the second half of the draft goes just as well.
Booyah. All right, so we're all queued up here. I am at the 104. We've got Nate at the 17 and Josh, aka Fun Guy Hates Stats, which is just it's better than Ian's. Ian's is Free Duke Johnson, but you definitely top his with Fun Guy Hates Stats at the 110 spot. Are you guys ready? We're getting started in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Does everyone know what they're doing?
I hope
Drafting
so.
Austin Eckler.
Drafting Austin Eckler. Cannot go wrong with drafting Austin Eckler. Yeah, let's see how this goes. I do like picking at the 104. The only spots I really don't like is actually the middle. I don't really like picking at the middle. I feel like the turn is really good. 11, 12. The beginning is obviously really good because you can get the studs like McCaffrey, like Dalvin Cook. So 104 I feel comfortable with getting a top guy. Is there anywhere that you guys have drafted that you've hated your teams from, or is it really not mattered?
I actually don't like where Nate and I are drafting. I don't really like the 106 to 110 range.
Mm,
I found
yeah.
that my favorite drafts are usually kind of in the first three slots or the 11 or 12 pick personally. I think you can get some nice leverage with those closer to the turn picks or if you have a top three pick.
Nate, you just want to get Austin Eckler, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so I actually don't like being at like 103, 104, just since like I feel like there's a good 7, 8 running backs that I like well enough to be a first round pick. So I'm fine letting other people choose which backs they like the best out of those and then picking whoever's left over in the middle and then having the better pick in the second round.
Well, I went with Saquon Barkley because I am not afraid of this injury thing. I'm just looking at his potential workload in that offense. If he's healthy, maybe he'll start the season out slow, which is why I actually have him a little bit ranked lower in regular redraft leagues. But in best ball, I still think that Saquon Barkley's the guy, top 5 pick. And that means I can stack Giants. And Giants are so easy to stack in best ball because mostly everybody hates them. Kenny Galladay gets hate. Daniel Jones gets hate, even though he's a rushing quarterback. So I will be stacking Big Blue all day long.
Nice.
Nate with the on-brand pick there with Austin Eckler.
Yeah, I was going to say with Saquon, I've actually gotten so much Saquon recently because I feel like he falls even to the 108, 109 in recent. Oh, I'm on the clock.
You're up.
Grabbing my guy.
Cam Akers. Love it.
I think that with Saquon, there's kind of this arbitrage opportunity where you can get him after the 103. And then he was going at the 103. There's one quote that maybe he's not ready for the season, and now he drops to the 104 to 109-ish range. The second that there's some kind of quote out of Giants camp that says this is our week 1 starter, I think his ADP shoots right back up to the 3-4 spot, kind of alternating him and Henry. So that's why I really like getting him in the late first right now, is that I think you'll have a nice leverage on the field if you can get what will become late July, early August, a top 3 pick.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Josh, I'm looking forward to seeing what your next pick is coming up here at the 203. So let's watch it play out. You're on the clock.
We're going with one of the guys that I'm a big fan of. I know, Andrew, you are also quite a large fan of Gibson.
Yes.
It's hard to find a guy that has an easier case to huge upside than the college wide receiver who didn't catch any passes in his rookie year because he was just so good at running between the tackles that they had plenty of work for him that way. So the year 2 leap could be really exciting.
Yeah. Antonio Gibson was recently on the PFF Fantasy Football Podcast. I think that the episode hasn't released yet. I think it's dropping tomorrow. Ian did the interview with him. It's going to be a lot of good stuff. They got the nickname. I think they're going with AGDC. I think it's because Antonio Gibson loves ACDC. He's from DC. He plays in DC. So the nickname works. But yeah, I think that Gibson and Akers, I mean, Jonathan Taylor's great, but I got concerns about how they're going to utilize him with Nyheim Hines. So getting those two guys, I think that they almost have very similar upside, and they're both going later. So I like those 2 second rounders. All right, but I can get my guy here, Darren Waller. Here we go. Boom. Lock it in. Yes.
Nice. What I like about Gibson and Akers over JT, Andrew, we might have actually talked about this on Twitter before or in the DMs or something, but if you just break it down really simply and think what is the backup running back better at, I don't think there's anything Darrell Henderson is better at than Cam Akers. I don't think there's any particular skill with running the ball, catching the ball that where McKissick is just completely in a different class than Gibson. But on the Colts, I'm not sure if JT is a better pass catcher than Hines. In fact, I do believe Hines is a better overall receiving back than JT. And that's kind of what worries me with his kind of mid-first round ADP right now, is that I'm not as confident that JT is just obviously better than Hines in the passing game. Whereas with Akers, and with
Antonio Gibson.
Antonio Gibson, it's so obvious that these guys are just better than their backup in every single phase of the game, pretty much.
Nate, where do you have Taylor ranked within the other running backs?
I think I have him right around 7 or 8. I have him close to Elliott, since I also have that fear with Tony Pollard with the Cowboys. I think Pollard is better than Elliott at a number of things. So amongst that, like first or second tier running backs, I have Elliott and Taylor right at the end because I fear about their backups.
Agreed. All right, let's see. What am I doing here? I'm going wide receiver, I think. Who do I want, though? Oh, man. I'll probably just take Michael Thomas because I think that's easy. But, yeah, I'll just time out and take Michael Thomas. Easier said than done.
What?
Where do you guys have Thomas ranked this year? I have him decently above consensus. I want to say he's my wide receiver 7, 8. He's somewhere in there, where I think consensus is around 10 right now. I just see him as having a pretty nice path to large volume. He was injured last year. I don't think he's any different than the receiver that we saw in 2018, 2019, where he's just absolutely dominating. So I'm expecting a pretty nice rebound. And I don't even think someone like Jameis is necessarily a downgrade. I mean, Drew Brees did not look like a competent NFL starting quarterback in a couple of his games last year. He looked like he was kind of at the end of his career. So I'm pretty optimistic about Thomas.
Yeah, I like Thomas a lot. I mean, when he played last year during like a 4-game stretch, he was still pretty productive. He saw the targets that we want. His yards per route run was basically at his career rate, which is an elite number. And he just didn't score any touchdowns. So that's why his numbers weren't really that good. But like touchdowns are just that's the flukiest thing to kind of chase. It's why guys like Robert Tonyan are just players I don't want, because I know that all of his production was touchdown related. And for him to repeat that is just not a bet worth making. So Michael Thomas, if he's going to see that significant targets again, I think that he's an easy buy, and especially in the 3rd round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I have him right around 10 or 11, and it's nothing too much against him. Just there's so many good wide receivers out there. A number of young ones that were very productive last year that we only expect to get better. I just got Allen Robinson in at 3.7, and he should have possibly the best quarterback play of his life this year.
He will have the best quarterback play of his life.
I hope so.
He has to. Justin Fields is our savior for Allen Robinson and one Darnell Mooney.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be Jimmy Graham that ends up catching like 13 touchdowns. It'll be like, oh god. After like 4 weeks, yeah, Jimmy Graham is the tight end 2. Great job, guys. We totally missed out Jimmy Graham, the actual late round breakout tight end. Sick.
I've taken a decent amount, maybe this is foolish, of Anthony Miller final round when I have Allen Robinson, just because I think Mooney's ADP is creeping up there. So I'll go Allen Robinson, Fields, and then final round Anthony Miller, because I do still think he's going to be the wide receiver 3 there. And he doesn't seem to be getting any love. I understand he has absolute piss poor work ethic. Because I know he was voted like most likely to skip a team meeting or something like that. But I'm on the clock. 1 second.
Yeah, get in there. Yeah, I mean, and think with Anthony Miller as well, you never know. He could get traded and maybe land in a nice, decent landing spot somewhere. Maybe Kansas City trades for a slot receiver. Oh, there you go. Anthony Miller on the Chiefs. Boom. So, yeah, I think that's really interesting. And Anthony Miller's been productive when he's played for the most part. It's just the fact that if he's not on the field, he's in the coach's doghouse. So that's obviously kind of stopped him from being able to kind of take it to the next level. Nate, what are you doing here? Chris Godwin.
I wanted Chris Carson.
Oh, lame. Oh, go for it on 4th. Took it from you.
Yep.
Let's see. What are the picks? So Josh went with Tyler Lockett. Very on brand. Gotta love it. All right. What am I doing? what is it, the 4th round?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't really like a lot of these guys here.
I don't really like the 4th round in general. I
I
actually
don't
think
like
it's my
them either.
least favorite round of the first 10, 12 rounds.
Hmm.
No one feels like a round 4 pick. Everyone feels kind of like a round 5 pick. They all look very similar to me.
I'm just gonna take Josh Allen, see how it kind of plays out. Let's go with that. He's also at the top of my board, so we'll see how it plays out.
You haven't gotten any Cowboys yet, have you?
No, I'm on a Cowboys drought right now. I'm getting zero, getting 0 Cowboys.
I'm anxious now because I'm the donkey who took the second Cowboys receiver round 3. So now we're gonna have go for it on 4th is up 2 picks ahead of me in round 5, and I don't think I'm getting Dak Prescott because he has CeeDee Lamb or she has CeeDee Lamb, and I've got Cooper. So I'm biting the nails a little bit. It's getting anxious.
Yeah, this round does kind of suck. But yeah, this is like a weird part of the draft too, because I want to grab Galladay at some point, but I know grabbing him in the 4th round was still way too early. I wanted to get him in the 5th round, and I just didn't really like anybody else. I really don't have that much Josh Allen. It sucks. I don't have Diggs, so that's really unfortunate. But we'll see how things play out here. Chase, Cooper Kupp. Oh, Kyle Pitts at the 410. That's nice. Good to see the rookie tight end, appropriately priced by the market. Oh God. Josh, where are you on with Kyle Pitts and his rising ADP? I know that most people early season in ADP he's a tight end 4. Some people have him ahead of Hawkinson and Andrews, others have him in front of them or behind them. Where do you stand with Kyle Pitts in redraft?
So I don't feel great about where I have him just because I'm one of the many suckers who's bending history to make Kyle Pitts a thing. So I was completely out on Kyle Pitts. I made a full 30-minute podcast pooping on people that were taking Kyle Pitts when his ADP was 56 and Julio was still on the team. And then Julio left, which I really didn't think was going to happen because I thought it was kind of smoke. The Falcons were in kind of a nice spot to have one last potentially competitive year. And when I reprojected the Falcons and just thought about it realistically, I do believe that Kyle Pitts is the clear second best receiving option on that team. And I ended up, as I was running the numbers, he ended up getting a target share a little under the rookie Evan Engram season. So he has around a 20% target share. I think Engram was like 21, 22% when he was a rookie. But in a super high volume offense with a competent quarterback, Kyle Pitts looks like the clear-cut tight end 4. So I am now one of those people that is saying, here comes the historic tight end season. So I think he's going to have the best rookie tight end season in the past 25 years because I do think he's going to take some snaps where Julio would have been taking them. And kind of like lining up outside at times, things like that. So I'm in on Pitts now.
I agree that Kyle Pitts probably will have the most historic rookie season for a tight end, but he still won't outscore Andrews or Hawkinson. Both can be true. Both can happen in that scenario. So I still lean on just taking those other 2 tight ends a little bit later on in the draft. I think that at least the median projections that we have, they come in pretty close. It's not Kyle Pitts is so far out ahead of them where I feel comfortable enough to take him basically 2 rounds before those other 2 guys. So
are you projecting Pitts ahead? Because I have Pitts projected ahead. But like you, I do take Pitts, but I'm not just loading up on Kyle Pitts. But in my projections, he did project as like kind of his own tier, where he's not that close to Kittle. But I didn't have him super close to Andrews or Hawkinson. There was about like a fantasy point a game difference between him and Andrews and Hawkinson. But then he's also like a clear cut below a Kittle. So he's kind of in his own weird, unique zone for me, projections-wise.
The Pitts tier. You're on the clock also. Don't want you to miss your pick. Nate, I have Kyle Pitts, tight end 6. Nate, where are you on Kyle Pitts?
I also have him at tight end 6, and having him at tight end 6 just means I have 0 shares of him.
It sucks, right? Because you're like, you want to root for this like really cool tight end that's really good at football, but it sucks at the same time because there are a couple things that are, concerning, I guess. Maybe not concerning is the right word, but we'll see. He's really expensive, so you're kind of getting that his ceiling, which most times in drafts is not something that usually pays off. Sometimes you can kind of get left out, hanging out with when you reach on guys or you take them at their ceilings because they can't really gain any more value. So
yeah.
What do we got? So you took Javonte Williams,
Mm-hmm.
ETN for Josh.
Yeah. Took my guy.
Yeah, man, I don't get why ETN, people. I mean, he's a first-round running back. Like, I don't think it's that hard to just like, yo, he's going to get the workload, and I don't know. I think that he's a good value where he's going.
Yeah, I looked the last 10 years first-round running backs, including the incredible bust like Penny. Those guys get 18 combined carries plus targets per game their first season.
Yeah.
Do I think ETN's going to hit that? Probably not. He's not necessarily like the super sturdy workhorse that you will sometimes see round one. They also have James Robinson. They also have a mobile quarterback. But knowing that that's kind of the baseline and then he can go down from there, that's just such a safe floor in my mind that if you can grab him in the 5th or in my case in the 6th, it's hard to say no to that because I think he's very safe. And then there's the upside where this is a pass-catching running back on what could be a halfway decent offense. I just don't see any world where he's not getting usage the entire season when they took him round one and he's with his college quarterback. So it's not going to be a thing where he doesn't get along with people or he and the quarterback don't mesh, which sometimes happens with rookies. I don't see any case where Trevor Lawrence isn't pounding the table saying, this is the guy that I want to throw the ball to. So I'm pretty bullish on him.
I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, the Jags are a team that I found are really easy to stack because Trevor Lawrence keeps falling for some reason. Don't know why. Don't know how. Because I get the allure of the other rookie quarterbacks in terms of their rushing ability, but you just look at 2019 for Trevor Lawrence in a non-COVID season, and the last time he played, more of a normalized year of college football, he rushed for over 600 yards. And I think it was like 9 rushing touchdowns. And Urban Meyer has pretty clean track record of using quarterbacks as rushers, like Tim Tebow and the other guys from Ohio State that I cannot remember for some reason, but Braxton Miller. I was just trying to think of like the guy with the spin move.
Yeah,
Braxton Miller. So like, and Trevor Lawrence plays the Texans week 1. Like, people, the Jags stack week 1 is going to win people money in DFS. It's happening. All right.
Another thing that I like about ETN with Lawrence is generally when you have the really mobile quarterback, the running back's target share will suffer. And it's incredibly rare to have a quarterback that's mobile and also willing to dump the ball off. Yet what we saw last year was Trevor Lawrence dumping the ball off to ETN getting nearly 600 receiving yards. And it's kind of that nice combo where ETN's going to get the passing work. Plus we have the mobile quarterback. He's freezing linebackers. He's opening up some nice lanes sometimes for the running back due to how the defense is forced to play the mobile quarterback. So it's kind of the best of both worlds in my mind for ETN. So I would be grabbing him round 4 if I needed to, but I'll grab him round 5 tonight I'll grab him round 6.
Take out that value. But in bigger news, Jaguars, we saw Laviska Shenault go at where did he go? 7-2, DJ Chark 7-6. We're finally starting to get people to understand that Chark is not a real alpha. He's a fake alpha. Laviska, Josh, you and I agree on this. We've gone back and forth about Laviska Shenault. It's like, look, man, there are so many clear points that are showing us that DJ Chark is not some player that's just going to come in here and command a significant target share. And that's all we've seen from Laviska Shenault. Everything that he did last year. I think one of the stats that I found was, I think last season, or even like the past 2 seasons, Marvin Jones and DJ Chark, their target rate per route run among qualifying receivers, Marvin Jones ranked 49th, DJ Chark ranked 50th out of 50 qualifying receivers. So both of them don't command targets at a high rate on a per route run basis, which goes to show he's like, hey, like there's a room for a receiver to step up here and command a large portion of the targets in his offense, it looks like Laviska Shenault. I don't know.
I mean, I just think of who do you want to get the ball in the hands of? DJ Chark, Marvin Jones, or Laviska Shenault? If I'm the coach, I want to make sure that Shenault is the one who has the most chances with the ball in his hands to make moves after the catch, break a tackle, use his natural brute strength and elusiveness. It's really difficult to see him getting kind of phased out. And I think Urban Meyer liking Kadarius Toney is good for Shenault. It's basically saying, there's some maybe true coach speak about how you liked Kadarius Toney. Great. Here's a guy that's just bigger and better than him. And you can use him in the gadget role, plus he can play outside. Have fun. So I'm excited to see his year 2 where, I mean, we saw what happened to DJ Chark in year 2, and people seem to forget that he didn't do anything as a rookie because he's not nearly as talented, and he didn't acclimate to the NFL like Shenault did. So, I mean, yeah, this could be the 1,000-yard season. I'm cautiously optimistic.
All right, let's review some of these last picks. So I just took Zach Moss. So I'm going for a very unusual Bills stack with Zach Moss and Josh Allen. Hopefully I can just get all the rushing touchdowns that the Bills score, if there are any. So we'll see how that works out. I may have just arbitraged myself by taking away Josh Allen's rushing touchdowns and instead giving them to Zach Moss. But I didn't get digs, so I needed to kind of be creative with my Josh Allen at quarterback. Nate, you got Justin Herbert. So do you have Keenan Allen too?
I do not have Keenan Allen. I was hoping he'd fall to me, but he did not.
You got Herbert really, really late. I was kind of shocked. I almost took him I was like, someone needs to stop this free fall.
Yeah, I think that's something that's important because stacking has become so what's the word? I don't know. Popular is not what I was thinking, but like ubiquitous. So yeah, like it's something that everyone is basically doing. You really need to think about, because the way that things are set up, you don't need to reach on the quarterback position at all with your stacking, because everyone else is stacking, then they're not going to take your quarterback. So you can wait for them to get to you at their ADP. After their ADP, I was in another best ball draft last night, and I was stacking Rams players, and Matthew Stafford was there, and it was kind of like a little bit of a reach where I would take him. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. And then he stayed on the board the entire time. Yeah. So I think that's an important thing to remember is if everyone's stacking, then chances are no one's going to take a quarterback. And if they do, then they're probably going to be putting a roster that's not good together. So it just sucks for them.
Yeah, I've got Herbert with Eckler, and like I had a bunch of receivers where I could get a quarterback late to stack with them, but Herbert just kept falling. So like, okay, let's get him with Eckler. He'll throw to Eckler 100+ times, and it'll all be good.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a fun, if you're going to do a quarterback running back stack, I do like the Eckler one because he can actually run real routes, and that you're not confined to the typical dump off passes that a lot of these other running backs are getting, where they'll be more of the volume compiler, where next thing you know they have 60 catches for 380 yards.
All right, I picked AJ Dillon, and I don't love it, but yeah, man, that's the tough part about doing the live stream and drafting at the same time. It's like you're talking, you're like, oh my god, I'm on the clock, and then check the rankings. All right, this is who I pick, and then you look, especially because I have my rankings here, and it's not aligned with ADP, so it's hard for me to see sometimes where players are actually, where their ADP is versus where I actually have them ranked. So it's harder for me sometimes to actually draft players according to ADP. But oh well, we're doing it for the fans are watching at home. 48 viewers, 46. Thanks for sticking with us. Again, you can draft an Underdog Fantasy as well. You can join us. You can get in the Puppy Bowl or whatever this is called. Best Ball Mania 2. Use the promo code PFF. You get a $10 deposit. Get in on the fun. Even if you're just playing for $5, it's good to like be in a real draft, because when you're on the clock, your true colors show. Like the player that you pick, like that's what your gut is telling you. Because sometimes, I mean, you can go by the rankings on a piece of paper, but when you're in the draft room, man, that's when it really matters. So That's when you're going to put some money on some of these players if you like them. Melvin Gordon's falling. Leonard Fournette. All right, Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones have the same ADP. So it seems like pretty much everyone is torn on them. Josh, do you have a particular one that you because it seems like right now they're both, neither of them are going after the other. Is there one that you prefer over the other? You just kind of like, if one goes last, neither.
I prefer Uncle Lenny. I know that he might not do anything super well, but I did like that come playoff time last year, we got to see sort of the all-purpose skill set that I do think he still has. I don't think Ronald Jones has that.
You've sold me.
I don't think there's... Go for it.
Just got Fournette.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that what I like about Fournette is that
talk him up.
We've seen the upside. I mean, we saw what he did in the playoffs last year. He is capable of being an every down running back. We haven't really seen Ronald Jones do that for more than a game or two at a time. So that's why I think that especially in a tournament, if you're going to bet on one of these guys kind of running away with a full role, I think if Ronald Jones is the guy on first and second down, Fournette is in on third down, or Gio's in on third down, I don't think there's a world where Ronald Jones can ever have a game as the three down back if other guys there are healthy. So that's why I lean Fournette, but I still have some Ronald Jones just in case I'm completely wrong in that Ronald Jones shows that his superior inside running is all that the Buccaneers are valuing, and that they want the guy that's just a very good pure runner out there. So I lean Fournette, but I don't necessarily feel great about it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those where one of these Tampa Bay Buccaneer running backs is definitely going to, I mean, again, if they all stay healthy, then it's going to probably be a lot of nothing because it's going to be distributed. You know, last year we saw them score, I think I tweeted it out like earlier this week, they had the most expected fantasy points of any other, or the whole team had the most expected fantasy points because Brady's arm just creates all these opportunities for all of the playmakers to score fantasy points because he doesn't move at all. Like that's one thing that's kind of overlooked is the rushing quarterback only helps himself to an extent, whereas these guys that are all arm quarterbacks just throw. That's how they're creating all their yards and points. They're actually like better for their pass catchers, for the running backs and things like that. So for stacking purposes, it's why you don't necessarily need to overdo it with a mobile quarterback versus a guy like Brady where you just want to basically stack as much as you possibly can.
That's a good point.
Speaking of stacks, Gabriel Davis coming in to tell with my Diggsless Buffalo stack.
Yeah, I talked about this. I did a big podcast on kind of how Lamar has the Konami code on the ground, but the anti-Konami code through the air. And that if he's going to have 100 fewer completions than another quarterback, if you think about a PPR setting, if he has 100 fewer completions, right there, that's 100 fewer fantasy points for his receiving options, just out of the gate. And then on top of that, it's more yards per play when you pass than when you run. So in addition to just those 100 lost fantasy points from points per reception, you're also getting fewer yards. So it's just kind of this compounding, there's fewer fantasy points to go around. So that's why I call it the anti-Konami code with those Konami quarterbacks where they're great on the ground and then everywhere else in fantasy, you kind of crumble.
Nate, you took a guy that I was ridiculing earlier on this live stream, Robert Tonyan. Talk to me about the pick, man.
I've got a Packers stack going. I've got Rodgers.
Let's go.
So going Tonyan with it, and it's fairly close to his ADP. I don't think he would fall to me for another round, and I don't have a tight end yet, so I need to get at least one or two.
David Johnson at the 11-11. Oh my God. We just got to keep pushing David Johnson down as much as we humanly possibly can. I honestly, the thing with David Johnson too is I don't think in regular leagues like he's gonna go this late. I've seen other like non-best ball drafts, mock drafts, I guess more normal ones, that I've seen him go more like in the 7th and 8th round, which is crazy to think because he's been going so late in these. I see him in the 8th. I'm like, oh my God, like what are people doing drafting David Johnson? But I mean, I get it. Like, okay, he's a starting running back, I guess. But at the same time, he couldn't ask for a worse situation, potentially. I don't, Deshaun Watson's not playing in Houston. Like, if you're just tuning in right now, people, like, it's not happening. Like, even if he plays in the NFL next year, it's not going to be for the Texans. At least that's what I think. But, and then you have this four-headed monster of him, Burkhead, Ingram, Lindsey. Oh, God. It's a friggin' nightmare for David Johnson.
Yeah, it's really tough. I got some flack from some Twitter people because on our best ball rankings, we have a top 216 because you take 216 players each draft.
Yeah.
And I left Philip Lindsay off. And a lot of people were very offended by that because his ADP at the time was like 170. And I said, okay, what is the path to Philip Lindsay actually making a difference on your roster? He doesn't catch passes. He's probably not a workhorse. He's buried along with at least 3, if not 4 other guys on probably the league's worst offense. What you're just going to be getting 40 to 50 rushing yards a game from Lindsey with maybe 1 catch. I think you can't find lower ceiling options, especially for these tournaments, than these auxiliary Houston Texans running backs.
Yeah, like I feel like in my head I like Lindsey because I think he is a good runner, but every time that I go to do my rankings, and I'm just like, okay, I can't actually put him that high. Yeah. There's this, and he goes somewhere in the 200s.
Yeah, I'm like, how do I get this guy to project better than 650 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns with 7 catches? It's really difficult to get him any kind of usage.
MFAY just friggin' drafted Emmanuel Sanders. After I put him in the freaking queue, he's definitely, you're watching right now, MFAY. Come on. Like, I put Emmanuel Sanders in my queue because I recently moved him up the rankings because I pretty much was like, I'm out on Sanders. I'm all about Gabriel Davis. And that may have been way too aggressive. So I moved Sanders back up the rankings, but he was kind of still lower. So I needed to find him. And of course, now I'm out. I don't have Sanders anymore. So that sucks. Evan Ingram, man, I really don't want him on my team, but he fits kind of well. Gross.
He's like the 5th best guy on my board right now.
I just like don't want it, especially because I already have Waller. But again, like he fits. I'm going to draft Daniel Jones soon anyway.
Nate, he's the 5th guy on my rankings too. That's funny. I'm looking right now and I was like, oh yeah, he's sitting there 5th best.
I'll just take him. I'm not actually taking him. I'm letting the auto draft take him because he's my highest ranked player now. So, I mean, I saw someone, again, I don't know. There's a lot of hot takes on Twitter nowadays, but Evan Ingram, someone's like, yep, Evan Ingram's going to lead the Giants in targets. I mean, he led the Giants in targets last year and was, I think, like the first tight end ever to like lead his team in targets and not finish as a top 5 tight end. So that's what we're dealing with Evan Ingram, which is just not encouraging. But
I think we saw the most efficient and the least efficient fantasy tight end season ever last year, where we had Tunyon and Ingram, where I think Ingram did he have over 2 times the targets of Tunyon with half the fantasy points? It was something, it's got to be something ridiculous because Tunyon had 50-something targets, didn't he? And I swear Ingram had over 100.
Yeah, Ingram led the Giants in targets last year, which definitely probably put him over 100.
Nate, what are you doing?
I wanted my 3rd Buccaneer.
No, I have Brady. Oh.
And I have everyone else.
Yeah, but now, Josh, now you can draft the better Buccaneers tight end, O.J. Howard. There you go. You're all set.
Oh, this is painful.
So somebody messaged me earlier today and was like, hey, so you're pretty high on O.J. Howard, kind of like how you were high on Chris Herndon last year, huh? So that's fun. People will know. Look, people, it's the late round tight ends. These guys don't usually hit ever. Like, that's the thing. So when I'm saying, like, yes, O.J. Howard, perfect guy to draft at the end of your draft, it's like, yeah, I think he has a lot of upside. But I also understand when you're taking a player 18th overall or at the 18th round, you know, chances are they're not going to hit. Like, there's a reason why they're going that late. So O.J. Howard will not be Chris Herndon because Chris Herndon had Sam Darnold at quarterback and O.J. Howard is Tom Brady. So that's the big difference.
Man, I was really excited to get the AB Gronk Buccaneers stack. I've really enjoyed that one. It's kind of like the back door.
Oh yeah.
Next thing you know, you've got a double stack, and people don't even realize.
You're just like,
So-
dude, what is this, dude? It's like the alarms start going, and the alarms start in the back of your room. It's like, oh my god, you just got the backdoor tip of base stack.
Yeah, it's not as exciting anymore with the AB Brady skinny stack, where now I'm just crossing my fingers that someone gets injured, which is never the right way to play fantasy.
We can play doctor. We can do it. All right. I'm going to get. All right. I'm not putting any more people in my queue anymore because I've learned my lesson, and that clearly doesn't work. I could do a lot of different stacks here. I got a little Raiders stack going. Giants. Bing bing. Jared Cook. Yeah, Jared Cook. I've seen Jared Cook go around this range. I've also seen Jared Cook not get drafted at all. That's interesting. Okay, Josh, so are we just gonna start sniping each other's guys right now? Is that the move? So
I really like Sterling Shepard.
yeah, no, he's
Yeah.
he's super underrated.
This is their starting slot receiver. I don't think they have it. They have nobody on their team with his skill set, which I like. It seems difficult to see him or Galladay ever losing snaps to anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Like I saw reports recently that they're just easing Tony in and probably won't use him a ton this year, and it's more for the future. So as long as he's just used as a gadget player this year, then Shepard shouldn't really be leaving the field.
Yeah, I'm not a film guy, but I've seen some film people break down Tony in college. His route running looks pretty atrocious.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that knows how to get open unless he's just trying to outrun somebody, which that doesn't usually work in the NFL.
He does a lot of things on his own where he's not necessarily following the route that he's supposed to run. He's just kind of like getting open on his own, which sounds like, oh, like that's really cool. Like he doesn't need like instruction or whatever or structure to like get open. But at the same time, it also means his quarterback has like no idea what the hell he's doing. So
Sorry.
Nate.
I saw that with Renfro. Remember Hunter Renfro? They were like, oh, this guy is so fun because he runs his own routes and he's not going to stick to the route tree because he just gets open. And what happened? They took 2 receivers really early last year because they were like, damn it, Renfro, you're all over the place. We can't have you getting a full snap share if you're doing whatever you feel like each play. That's not what a quarterback doesn't want to have to identify 2 seconds into their drop back. What did Hunter Renfro feel like doing? What did Kadarius Toney feel like doing?
Yeah. You know, that's why we like the Tyler Johnsons of the world, that they know what they're supposed to do. They get on Tom Brady's good side. They get him his lattes when he needs them. Like, they're there for him no matter what. And look, one of these Buccaneers, because one of these Bucs receivers is going to get hurt. It's going to be Godwin, Evans, like Antonio Brown, maybe he'll get suspended or whatever. Like, I don't know. He's nuts. Something's going to happen, and we're going to see an opening where one of these other, again, super underrated receivers on the Buccaneers steps up and actually contributes in a significant way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
I
that
remember.
was my final round pick. Queue up Tyler Johnson, round 18, to make my Brady single stack a double stack.
I like it. Tyler Johnson. I think that I know a lot of people like Jalen Darden too, and I thought that his college production was really impressive. But I think that Tyler Johnson still has a bit of an edge over him. They talked about Darden a lot, at least the research I was reading with the Buccaneers, the way that they view him. They want to use him more as like our kick returner and like a punt returner, similar to how like Antonio Brown kind of started his career. I know that he's gotten some AB comps, which is fine, but I think Tyler Johnson's like actually going to play receiver for the Bucs, and he actually plays special teams too, not as a returner necessarily, but that means he'll be active on game day. So if an injury happens in game, we're going to see Tyler Johnson on the field.
Mm-hmm.
There's your guy, Philip Lindsay, Nate.
Yeah.
There's your guy, Lindsay. Oh, you got Lazard, dude. Man. All these. So you've been just stacking the entire Packers offense, man. You're really riding on Aaron Rodgers playing this year, aren't you?
For this draft, yeah.
You know, regression is never going to hit harder than Aaron Rodgers if he doesn't play this season. Like from his like unsustainable touchdown rate to not playing at all. Hey, it happens, man. Regression. Alvin Kamara went from 6 touchdowns to COVID. It happens. Regression, regression remains undefeated no matter what. Like it's just going to find a way to get things back to average.
I like the Packers stack now. It's so affordable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they're all going late. Because people are just kind of like, maybe he won't play. So they've all kind of suppressed enough where, again, like you said, like they're all becoming values. And what's going to happen is Rodgers is going to end up playing, and then I don't think that their values are really going to change much. I think it's going to kind of settle, and we're just going to be like, oh, well, like Packers have been values like this entire season because we just never really price adjusted back to now, okay, Aaron Rodgers is actually playing. Let's take that into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think there's much room that we can move players since Adams is already a top 2 or 3 wide receiver. Aaron Jones will still be a late first-round pick. Then after that, we know Tanyan, regardless, is going to have touchdown regression. So whoever his quarterback is, he's going to regress from last year. And then they just have a bunch of receivers that no one can agree who the number 2 guy is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. You guys think it's weird that Ryan Fitzpatrick's still available?
I almost took him as a 3rd quarterback for fun because I have Gibson and McLaurin, or Gibson and Samuel, but I can't do it.
Well, I mean, is Diami Brown still? No, I thought he got taken. Yeah, he got taken. Chatty 36. Chatty, you better be taking Ryan Fitzpatrick at your next pick. All right, what am I doing here?
Oh, and there he is.
Oh, see, Bing Bang is watching. Good on you, Bing 100%. Bang.
Bing Bang just wanted me to know that Philip Lindsay does deserve to get drafted before ADP, and that I'm full of it.
Nate, your Green Bay stack is sexy.
Thank you.
Killing it. I'm still going to probably draft Wayne Gallman as the only person that ever does.
That is a huge Packer stack. You even have Jamal Williams on your team, Nate. This is
yeah. He still has the Packers jersey, it looks like. A little picture there, so.
Just like, damn. Let's see. Let's get the Vans going. Jefferson. All right, what I got? I'm good at tight end, good at quarterback. Yeah, I'm good at running back. Yeah, I'm just locking up these receivers to wrap this up. Nico Collins is always there for me. Basically every single draft, unless Jared's drafting with me. Jared, I hope you're watching.
Oh.
MFA, why again?
You need to stop drafting players before they're drafted. You need to wait for a player to get drafted.
It's part of the live stream experience. Imagine if we just went on here like locked in. We're just like staring at the screen. It's like no conversations. This is way too intense. This is a $5 entry, Nate. I need to feed my family. Denzel Mims, he's there. Yeah, Zacchaeus. I like Zacchaeus more than Gage. Like straight up, honestly. I can't get behind Gage. He was like one of the most inefficient receivers last year. I think of players with 100 targets, only AJ Green had less receiving yards than Russell Gage. And nobody wants to draft AJ Green. At least I don't.
Yeah, Gage kind of goes against the principle of good players get targets compared to where his ADP is close to pick 100. I have 0 Russell Gage right now. He's one of the few players that I might legitimately have 0% exposure to because I do a lot of best ball drafts, and I can't get behind his ADP. I don't think Julio leaving helps him at all. I think that's just going to put more defensive attention on him, if anything, and I don't think it increases his snap share. He's a complementary receiver in an offense, and I don't think he has any kind of standout skill that would make him able to replicate his 100 targets from last year. I think that was the anomaly for a player of his skill set and talent level. So I think regression will hit him where the targets will stop coming, since they noticed that this was the least efficient Matt Ryan throw last year was throwing to Gage.
Yeah. Now, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if, because they're talking about moving him around, which again I don't really get as a slot receiver, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Hayden Hurst is he's not gonna go away in the offense. Like, I don't think that he's never gonna eat into Pitts' target share at all. But I don't think him finishing as third in targets, I don't think that's really crazy considering how much 12 personnel they're gonna run. He runs out of the slot, and he also can't block. Like, he was like one of PFF's worst graded run blockers last year. And if Arthur Smith, we were talking about Arthur Smith as this really smart guy, he understands how to use his players. He's not going to put Hurst in a position to fail having him run block. Like, I think they traded for Lee Smith. Like, he was a tight end for the Bills last year. He's the blocking tight end. Like, he is the Michael Pruitt, the other Titans Jeff Swaim of the offense in the Falcons as a blocker. So I think Hurst is actually going to run a lot of routes from the slot. I mean, I think it's like 50% of his snaps from the slot for his career. So, I mean, he's a good receiver. Like, again, he's not Pitts, but he can move a little bit. He's athletic. He's old. And I mean, I guess old tight ends. I mean, look, these breakout tight ends always come out of nowhere because they've either like converted from another position, played baseball at some point, or just like weird things like that. That's why I can't quit Jordan Akins either, because he used to play baseball. He's older, and the Houston Texans have basically no one to throw the ball to. So Jordan Akins is like still someone that I'm like holding on to hope on dynasty teams. I'm just like, come on, Jordan Akins. Like, and he flashed last year, but then he got hurt, and Darren Fells is gone. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go on about Jordan Akins.
Houston has like 5 tight ends that could viably be like their top tight end at the start of the season, though.
No, but Jordan Akins, he's established. He's the number one. All right, I'm going to blow your guys' minds with my last pick.
Okay.
It's going to be Hayden Hurst. Let's get it. Let's go.
I don't usually go 3 tight end, but I'm getting less and less enthusiastic about some of the later round wide receivers. And I think Hayden Hurst should still see kind of that. He'll see a decent amount of targets, enough that I think he'll have 3 to 5 weeks where he's forcefully entering into my lineup and saying, hey, I am 7 fantasy points better than your other 2 tight ends. Let me help your team.
Yes. All right. Yeah, I'm going with someone. All right. So he's a Giants receiver. I think he's better than Darius Slayton. Like, straight up, pretty sure he's better than. I don't like Darius Slayton really that much. When I rewatched him I mean, his numbers last year were really bad, and I'm hoping that Gabriel Davis doesn't turn into Darius Slayton. But my guy, we got to find him. Where is he? There he is. John Ross. John. Hey man, he can make the team. So John Ross, when he's actually been healthy, he's been pretty decent. Not too bad. He just never has been healthy. He had a stretch of games where he was catching a touchdown on every 3 per 3 catches. He caught a touchdown. 21 catches. I think it was in 2018. 21 catches and 7 touchdowns for John Ross. We'll see how it plays out. But another addition for Daniel Jones. Another toy to play with.
Thought you were talking about Dante Pettis for a second. I'm like, what other giant receivers are there?
That's who I was thinking of.
Could have been Dante Pettis. Yeah.
I was like, is Pettis still there?
I mean, if I really wanted to be bold, I would have drafted Kelvin Benjamin. Let's be honest. Like, is he in the player pool as a tight end?
I was gonna say, what is his eligibility? I'm not even sure.
He's not even in. You can't even draft him. Come on, underdog. Get Kelvin Benjamin into the player pool. So us D-gens can draft him. All right, Night King. Let's wrap it up. Night King. Malcolm Brown, Derek Carr, Darnold. Gross. Gross. Sam Darnold. Fun fact, though, Sam Darnold, PFF's highest graded quarterback when targeting tight ends in the red zone. That's literally the only thing I could find that's good about him. There's literally nothing else. If you look at wide receivers, pretty sure it ranks last. All right. Per usual, we're going to go through each of our lineups, talk about them. If we like them, we hate them. So I will go first. So this is the puppy draft again. So $5 entry. Not as big as a prize as Best Ball Mania, but still a lot of fun. All right. So my quarterbacks are Josh Allen and Daniel Jones. Didn't have Diggs, so the Josh Allen pick was kind of on a whim, but I think I made the most of it. So I was able to get Zach Moss, Gabriel Davis. So a couple small stacks from Bills receivers, Bills players there. Daniel Jones. I did a pretty full-on giant stack. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Kenny Galladay, John Ross, Evan Ingram. I guess John Ross counts. AJ Dillon, Kenyon Drake, Giovanni Bernard. Just some running backs I think to have some upside. Kenyon Drake, I was able to kind of stack with John Brown and Darren Waller. So I got some Raiders guys. And then Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler. So not the perfect team, but I don't hate it. The roster construction is pretty good. 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends. That's what I prefer. Getting Darren Waller, I think, is just it's going to make my receivers look much worse because I took a tight end early and took a quarterback early, but I don't think they're terrible. Nate, let's look at your team.
Got all the Packers, Rodgers, Adams, Lazard, Valdez, Scantling, and Tanyan. Got 3 Chargers, 3 Buccaneers. A lot of my wide receivers I got paired up with a running back. 3 running back named Williams, so I got a Williams stack at running back going there.
Yeah, Nate, I like your team more than me, so good on you. The Rodgers stack is definitely very impressive because you got everybody right except for
I didn't get Amari Rodgers or the running backs.
But you got Jamal Williams. So I mean, he's basically a Green Bay Packers running back. He looks like he's one. We don't have to tell people. We can just say, hey, he's wearing the green. He's good to go. All right, and then Josh, let's check out your team.
So I went with the Dallas and Tampa Bay stacks. They're a little on the skinny side. With Dak, I got Amari Cooper, and I got Blake Jarwin at tight end. So we've got 2 options for him to get some fantasy points correlation. Tom Brady, it's a little bit thinner. I was really thinking I was going to get Gronk since I was queued up to get him at like 2 picks before his ADP, but it turns out Nate also wanted the Buccaneers correlation without Brady. So thank you very much for that. So it's just an AD Brady. They're a little lonely. I had considered going Prescott, Fitzpatrick as my quarterbacks because I have Samuel and Gibson. So I think that's kind of fun. I think that's an emerging offense. I liked getting ETN after ADP. Went kind of fragile on the running backs since I ended up taking the 3rd one pretty early with ETN. So I figured Tariq Cohen can enter my lineup occasionally. I'm not a huge I don't have that much faith in David Montgomery to stave off Cohen when healthy. And then just kind of loaded up at receiver, try to get a lot of them. So I usually go 2 tight ends. I just felt like going 3 tight ends here because I looked at my receiving core and I couldn't really imagine a week where those 9 guys don't fill out 3 spike weeks, but one of the other guys remaining clearly will be entering my lineup there. But I'm very confident that Hayden Hurst will have some weeks where he enters over Fant and Jarwin. So I thought, we'll go a little unconventional. We'll take that 3rd tight end just because I felt like running back was really strong with Akers, Gibson, ETN so early. And then receiver, I felt like that was also fairly strong. I have a lot of the kind of like mid-round guys. So tried something different.
All right, cool. So let's also see as a fun activity, are people paying for let's see if anyone's paying for our entry fees. Let's see. Kendrick Bourne. All right, so this team went, 2 quarterbacks, running backs. All right, that's fine. MFA, 5 RBs. All right.
Did notice someone, I think their first 6 or 7 picks were all wide receivers, so found that interesting.
3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs.
3,
all right,
4,
Night Warrior.
Yeah.
All right, nothing.
Oh, so this is the donator. 8 running backs. That's a lot of running backs.
Oh man, I was like, this looks fine. It's like, oh wait.
Yeah, all of a sudden I saw 8 running back and was like, so this person, it's $5 towards the prize pool.
Took my Amari Rodgers.
Dude, AJ Green is his 3rd receiver. Oh man, that's not good. That's not good, people. Like
this team would have been crushing it a few years ago when like Keenan Allen was young and in his like pre-prime Allen when he was still really good. Deshaun Jackson would have been in his prime. AJ Green would have been in his prime. There's no good way to swing it. No, this team,
and I think the cherry on top. drafting Sam Darnold with your last pick. Like, sleepies, man. You got to wake up. Stay woke. Snake Wells, Wentz, Mahomes. All right, cool. Good stuff here. Oh, yeah. So did you guys see, again, side note, we talked about Cam Akers at the beginning. Darrell Henderson has been nursing a knee injury. I think that news came out today. Something interesting I saw.
I haven't seen that, but that helps Akers. Good for my first round pick. Being healthy for a change.
All right, this is a good team. Nice.
Yeah.
Four really strong running backs. This guy needed Dak, but he still got the Baltimore stack. Yeah, this is a good team.
Yeah, if you scroll up, I think this guy took. Yeah, they could have had Dak, but they went Lamar. I would have gone Dak there for the correlation.
Oh yeah, I mean they got Zeke, Lamb, and Gallup.
Yeah, I was truly shocked because they had the earlier third round pick than me, so I assumed my Amari Cooper pick was dead, and that guy was just going to grab the mid fifth round Dak. So
it's interesting because someone that's named go for it on fourth, you think would follow the most analytical approach and be like, no, this is what we need to do. But hey, sometimes going for it on fourth doesn't work out. Even if the process is right, sometimes the results aren't always right. Let's see, 5 running backs, bing. Good. Nick Chubb. Oh yeah, so a couple of people pointed this out in the chat. So Nick Chubb went 16th. Seems kind of late. How did that happen?
I'm not really a Nick Chubb guy. I think I have him ranked around there actually.
16.
I have a hard time seeing his path to paying off his ADP. He ran really pure with touchdowns last year, but his actual usage isn't necessarily what I'm looking for out of a late first, early second round pick. He is in some type of timeshare where the backup's getting relevant touches and the backup is getting relevant he's getting targets, those are high fantasy point per opportunity touches. So I think with Chubb, it's a little bit difficult for me to see him paying off at ADP unless he does run super pure touchdowns, because he had a ridiculous touchdown rate last year. That's how he missed 4 games and still had double-digit rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, I know the PFF's consensus rankings came out earlier today. Nate, I saw you comment you commented a GIF of Nick Chubb, and it was our PPR rankings, our top 10, and Nick Chubb wasn't in them because that's just the reality with Nick Chubb. It sucks, but in PPR, it's really, really hard. Like Josh said, it's really hard to put him in unless he's gonna rush for 2,000 yards. Which again, I mean, if anyone can do it, it's Nick Chubb. As a pure running back, he is just off the charts, off the wall is good. But when you are looking at the touches in the projections for Nick Chubb, you really need to be okay, well, if we bump him up to 6 yards a carry, then now we're talking about Nick Chubb. But he's so efficient.
The Browns should be winning more games this year, which should lead to more rushing opportunities total out of both backs. But
yeah, again, in half PPR, it's better where we're in the underdog format, but in full point PPR, Nick Chubb definitely is at a big disadvantage just because he's going to have to score a lot of touchdowns, and he can. Look, I don't think Nick Chubb is someone that you're going to draft and be like, oh, dude, Chubb sucks. I don't think that's going to happen, but at the same time, I don't know if he'll provide those difference-making weeks for you besides being kind of steady. And when you're in the first and second round, you really want to try to be hitting for that sky-high ceiling with some of these running backs that you're going to take.
Yeah, Chubb's, it's just disappointing when you can't draft a guy that you enjoy watching or that you think is genuinely the most talented pure runner in the NFL right now. Chubb and DJ Moore are the two guys where real football and watching them on TV, watching their tape, those are two of my favorite players. And I have very little exposure to both because Chubb, it's just hard to see him getting some of those high-value target touches. And then DJ Moore, Sam Darnold's track record is it's really spotty. So I don't quite understand the fascination with keeping him as a round 4 wide receiver in fantasy when we really haven't seen him actually produce at that level yet. And now I do believe it's a QB downgrade for him. So Chubb and DJ Moore, pour one out for two of my favorite players that I can't really draft this year.
Yeah, DJ Moore is definitely pretty tricky. I recently wrote up the Panthers preview, for the website on pff.com. And yeah, like you look at him and you're like, man, this guy is just so good. Looking at everything, he was one of, I think, 5 players last year to have over 90 receiving yards in half of his games. So like he's so talented. And Sam Darnold, like, again, you have to dig really freaking deep to find good stats about Sam Darnold. And like the only one is literally him targeting tight ends. And pretty much it was like for that one stretch during Chris Herndon's like 2018 rookie year where we saw Chris Herndon like be a good fantasy tight end is like pretty much like the attribution of all those numbers. And I think that Ryan Griffin had, a couple decent games with Sam Darnold as well. So it's tough for DJ Moore, but we'll see. I mean, I guess the only thing he can do is if Robbie Anderson like disappears or something like that, then that's potential. I mean, again, look, I don't think the quarterback with Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson is a good thing either. Like we saw last year, Robbie Anderson have his best year of his career in terms of targets, in terms of receptions, in those metrics without Sam Darnold. So like, why would getting Sam Darnold back be something we should be like, yeah, like this is great for Robbie Anderson? Like he's probably not thrilled about it. Like he's not going to say that because he probably knows Sam Darnold, but at the same time, it's really hard to invest heavily into this Panthers offense because McCaffrey's obviously the focal point of the offense.
And then also, I'm worried about their play volume. I know everyone loves Joe Brady and he's so fun. They were very slow paced last year. Part of that might be Joe Brady's first year in the NFL. He's getting used to things. Part of that might be Teddy Bridgewater historically has been an incredibly slow paced quarterback. But Sam Darnold historically has been an incredibly slow paced quarterback. So sure, Joe Brady might be more comfortable in the NFL and try and step up the play calling, but we have never seen Sam Darnold operate a high volume offense before. So I think there's just so many factors working against that team where outside of Christian McCaffrey, it gets a little bit difficult to draft some of those guys at their ADPs. If it's a low volume offense with a bad quarterback, that's pretty terrifying for fantasy.
When in doubt, people just Dan Arnold. Yeah, that's the tight end you want. I fully shifted over. A couple of weeks ago, I was like talking up Ian Thomas. I was like, all right, this is the year for Ian Thomas. It's like, wait, no, Dan Arnold's probably the guy. Like he's the better receiving tight end. And yeah, like I said, Darnold targeting tight ends. It's literally his claim to fame. It's the only thing that he's been good at since he's been in the NFL. So, and again, I just cannot wait for the memes to come out like Darnold to Dan Arnold. Like Twitter's going to blow up. Of course, those things are going to happen. But that will do it for the Best Ball Live Draft stream. Again, this is on Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code PFF. $10 deposit. You get a free premium subscription to pff.com just in time for the fantasy draft guide to drop next week. You're going to want to get on it, and you hop on to Underdog, and you're going to draft and have some fun because the real drafts are coming up. August is right around the corner. Preseason games are coming up. We're going to talk about preseason DFS. That's going to be a ton of fun. So a lot of big things happening. So you're going to need to get in and start getting excited about fantasy because it's back. Before we go, closing remarks from our 2 guests. Nate, we'll start with you. Nate, what do you got on the docket? Like, what's going on?
Just to continue to plug some stuff, had wide receiver tiered rankings that went out today. Running back tiered rankings went out yesterday, and have a piece on George Kittle coming out tomorrow.
You're going to defend your guy about George Kittle over Darren Waller, right?
Too many good things about Waller. I have to defend Kittle.
All right. Josh, thank you so much for coming on, man. You've been one of the first non-PFF guests we've had on the Best Ball Live Draft, so it was a ton of fun having you on. Super knowledgeable. Make sure you guys follow him on Twitter at Josh Larkey Tweets. I think that's what it is.
J Larkey Tweets.
J Larkey Tweets. Oh man, I apologize. I'm a terrible host. But plug away, good sir.
So I have a Codebreaker podcast dropping tomorrow on the Roto Underworld podcast feed. It's going to be about stacking and a lot of the math and theory behind it, because I know there are still so many people out there that are skeptical about stacking. You saw the 3 of us work on some stacks in this tournament, but if you are still unsure why we did that or what the math or theory behind it is, I'll have a podcast coming out tomorrow morning on that, and then an article on Player Profiler coming out at the beginning of next week, kind of a big research piece diving pretty deep into last year's Best Ball Mania tournament from Underdog. and analyzing those 40,000 entries and what worked and what didn't work with stacking, and how you can attack that going forward. So it's been a big stacking month for me with all my research. So let's just keep it going. I've stacked tonight. I'll probably do another draft later tonight and hopefully
Let's
stack
go.
again.
Let's go.
Someone needs to fully bring stacking into the mainstream, since it's almost there. So,
Dude, the first time I ever saw anybody stack was it was over a decade ago. My grandfather in a fantasy draft, right? So after he drafts Adam Vinatieri in the first round, which is what he literally does every single year, or the second round or whatever, he always drafted Adam Vinatieri. And so he takes Peyton Manning. He drafts all Colts wide receivers and running backs, like no other players on any other teams. And we're all just like laughing at him. We're like, Grandpa, like, what are you doing? Like, you want to draft players on other teams? Like, he's like, don't care. Drafted Peyton Manning, Austin Collie, Reggie Wayne, Pierre Garcon, Dallas Clark. Like, he's drafting all these Colts players. And we're like, this is not going to work. He friggin' destroyed everybody in the league because he was just unstoppable. Peyton Manning was, I don't remember exactly what year. It wasn't his 48 touchdown season because that was much earlier on. It was like in 2009 or 2008. But Manning was basically unstoppable. And, dude, he didn't even care. He didn't change for bye weeks. He just left him in. And nobody could stop him. It was wild.
That's an amazing story. I like that.
Just
the total Colts. I call that the team onslaught. I don't know if there's probably a better word for it than that. Or just
yeah. But he was a very wise man, way ahead of his time. So
he was 10 years ahead of his time.
It's like friggin' crazy. But yeah, I think that the stacking thing, the mindset needs to change. I know that we all think like, oh, you want to have different players on different teams. You feel like you have a better chance of things working out. But again, you may be limiting your upside in the long run. So again, thank you all for watching, tuning in. We'll be back next week on the live stream, Best Ball and Away. Maybe we'll hop back into the Best Ball Mania, go after that $1 million prize. But for now, we'll stick with the puppy and make sure you guys get in on Underdog Fantasy. It's a ton of fun. And yeah, so we will